All right, joining me now here on the Matthew Filipowicz Show is Shawn Carter. Shawn is a stand-up comedian and one of the organizers of Stand Up for Bernie, an upcoming benefit comedy show for Bernie Sanders in Boston, Massachusetts on October the 12th. You can find them on Twitter at Stand Up for Bernie and also on Facebook at Stand Up for Bernie. Shawn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so Shawn, tell me, doing a political comedy show to benefit Bernie Sanders, where exactly did this idea come from?
Well, after following his stuff a little bit online, I just put a post out there on Facebook just saying, if I were to run a Bernie Sanders, benefit show, fundraiser for his campaign, who would be interested in seeing that? And, it got a lot of interest. And so that seemed like a good idea. And then Suzanne Rubishaw, who is working with me on this, messaged me, and I hardly knew her at all. But she was like, okay, I can help you organize this and that and the other thing. And I was like, whoa, this girl is intense. And then we started working together, and she helped organize all of that stuff, a bunch of stuff that I would have never gotten done because I'm a stand-up, and I would have missed all of the details, all of the actual work of it,
Yeah, comics, we're not really good at doing things, other than just kind of showing up, and even then we're usually a little late.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was a great thing that she saw it, and that she was also a Bernie supporter and wanted to help, because otherwise, I don't think I could have done this. And I was even thinking like a little small venue where we could get like 100 people in there. But she wanted to get the Somerville Theater where they have like 850 seats or something like that. So it became like an even bigger event. And again, without her doing that, I would have just been like, yeah, let's get a bar room. Let's charge $5 and just send it to the campaign, Now we have it set up so that it's at the Somerville Theater is a $35 donation, and then that goes directly to like they have a campaign link and everything. I would have never even known how to contact anybody. So much better with her involved, but it is going to be a solid show. I did that part of it. I booked the show. Right.
Well, so, I mean, again, what's nice about it, so, a lot of people, benefits pop up here and there for certain things, and a lot of it's very, a lot of with very good intentions, where it's like, oh, let's do a benefit for X. But then when you actually, if you go to it or donate to it, you're maybe not entirely sure where the money's actually going to. It's like you can cross your fingers and be like, yeah, hopefully it's going to go to where they're saying it's going to go. And again, most of the time it does. But here you actually have the tickets are actually directly through the Sanders, through the Sanders campaign. And so essentially you make a donation to Bernie Sanders. And because of that, you actually get a ticket to it by making a direct donation directly to the Sanders campaign, right?
That's right. Exactly. So you do the donation right there online, and then you get a ticket and you can come to the show. So yeah, there's no question of where any of the funds are going. All of the comics, in fact, are donating their time. We weren't able to, we raised enough money, to pay for the space, which, was a good amount of money. But we don't have any overflow or anything to pay comics. So all these comics are people that like Bernie and are willing to donate their time to put on a great show to benefit his campaign.
So let's talk about the lineup here. Who are some of the comics you have up on the show?
So some of the comics that we have are, we have Rick Jenkins, who is the owner, operator, and regular host of, and founder of the Comedy Studio in Cambridge. A lot of people around here are probably familiar with Rick. He's been in the scene a long time. We have Tony V, who has been on Conan. He's been on The Tough Crowd with Colin Quinn. He's been in movies. So he's a spectacular stand-up. He's doing the show. We have Krista Weiss, who runs a show in Somerville called Broad Appeal, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've been friends and doing comedy together for a long time, so it's exciting that she's also a supporter and wanted to do the show. And we have Kwasi Mensah, who's also another Boston comic that's very funny, that was interested. Bernie supporter, wanted to help out, and I thought he would be great for the show as well. And then was it 2 nights ago, I think it was, we confirmed with Jimmy Tingle, which I thought was a great addition to the show. He's a real good fit for that sort of thing. I think it really plays right into his audience as well. So, so it's going to be a solid lineup. We also have Dan Bolger, who won the Boston Comedy Festival in 2006 and has been on like the Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. He's been on Comedy Central. It's a solid show and a lot of great comics on there.
What is it, do you think, about Bernie Sanders that I guess I can only talk specifically for you, like what that made you want to do something like this? Because I mean, as far as I know, there's no stand-ups for Martin O'Malley or stand-ups for Jim Webb or any of the Republicans, I would imagine, either. What is it about Bernie that sort of makes something like this happen? Sure.
I think it is for Bernie that I really enjoy his policies. I think basically I think the reason why there's no stand-ups for any Republicans is because humor seems to be a thing that's gotten more by liberal people for some reason, and is able to be expressed more. And I think that comes back to empathy. And I gotta say, I think a lot of Republicans are very concerned with themselves, and it seems like liberals would like to sort of help other people, and they seem to have more empathy. When you can see the world through somebody else's eyes, I think it's a little easier to to create odd scenarios, make people laugh, and kind of connect with people. I think that's what stand-up's about. So I'm not surprised that nobody's doing stand-up for Trump, I guess they could probably do the show, but they'd just be making fun of probably minorities the whole time or something.
Minorities and women, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody here is bleeding out of their eyeballs again. Like that. So for me, I think Bernie is the fact that he's concerned with the working class and the middle class, which is disappearing. That he's there for regular people, and I think I went to the Bernie Sanders rally in Boston Saturday, and I think I probably agree with him more than any other presidential candidate. I probably agree with him on like 80-90% of the things or whatever, but a lot of the people that are there are 100% on board with him.
Yeah. What's the 10 to 20% that you're just out of my own curiosity that you think I'm not down with that?
Oh man, I don't think it's like, I try not to really talk about what I disagree with him on.
But the thing is, like, I actually think that that's a problem with political discourse, where like people want to be into like kind of idol worship, right? That their person can't do anything wrong, and you can't disagree with anyone on anything. That what human being do you agree with 100% of the time? I think that's sort of silly. I mean, and I'm not saying I understand the instinct of it, but like for me, Bernie's he's decent on gun control. I wish he was a little better on gun control. I wish he was a little better on Israel Palestine. Those are like my kind of two areas where I look at Bernie. I'm like, yeah, okay. I wish he was a little better on. I mean, but like I'm also a Bernie supporter, but I'm also perfectly willing to say, hey, there's a couple areas where he could do better. He wasn't doing so great on Black Lives Matter early on, but he's actually, after those activists came and confronted him, he's actually done really well when it comes to that. So, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with, these are politicians, there's nothing wrong with, pushing them on certain areas. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, I agree with the gun thing with you a little bit there, where, he's not really tough on guns. And, that's one of those issues, though, where people that love their guns think that he wants to take them away.
Right.
And people that hate guns think that he's soft on guns.
Right.
So it's kind of a tough spot to be at, but he's clearly like pretty moderate on that. You know, he said that he thinks that it's a state issue. But you know, with everything that's going on in the gun violence in the U.S., and not just like the school shootings and the stuff that makes the news, but the numbers that, you know, don't hit the news of all gun violence, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I think less guns in this country would probably mean less gun violence. But that's one of those topics that is not, you know, maybe it will help you with your base, with, you know, Democrats, but it's not going to help you in a general election, that's for sure. And I don't think it's one of his priorities. I think, and I'm fine with that. I would rather his priorities be on the way that the economy in this country is going, you know, and the social programs that are in this country. I would rather focus on that than gun control. But I do. I am more left on that than he is.